Welcome to this channel. Thank you for joining us. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate your joining tonight. So tonight, without wasting much of our time, we would like to discuss a particular concept that has actually been a kind of dilemma in the health, should I say, industry, or in the topic of health and healthy living. So, first of all, there are two, well, I should say now that when in pursuit of good health, there are lots of things that we feel we are doing right, but in the real sense, we may not be getting it right. It's usually not our fault. It's usually because we just don't know otherwise. And that is why I always say that I respect professionalism a lot. Why? Because when you have targeted a certain profession, you are bound to go deeper and understand more how that profession works and a lot of things that are probably not so common to others that are not in that profession. So today we are discussing one of those concepts that normally we would feel they are common knowledge, but from people's expressions and utterances, you just realize that people might just be getting it wrong. You just go, okay, okay, Victor, good to see you.
Good evening.
Yeah, I've been trying to get you in since, but you just kept holding back. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for joining. So, in terms of these things we do to be healthier, we see a lot of times that we are not exactly getting it right, and that is where professionalism comes in. So, in my practice, catering for individuals with neurodevelopmental delays, I have come across parents who just want to get it right. And one of these concepts that is becoming very popular is the concept of probiotics and prebiotics. For the benefit of better understanding, I am going to say, okay, I am going to define both of them to just let us know what they are. So the pro now this time, remember our topic tonight is prebiotics, but the probiotics actually are life microorganisms. In all of us, in each and every one of us, there is something that is inside us that is made up of, excuse me, Chimerema, shut the door for me. Sorry, guys. I'm a mother and I can't run away from that. So, inside of us, there are things that are within us that the science is actually struggling to whether they should define it as part of our body, or whether they should just see it as something that exists inside our body, and that is known as microbiome. Our microbiome has come to become an intricate part of us. And what it means is just a collection of the microorganisms that live in us. When a baby is born, if the baby is born through vaginal birth, through vaginal delivery, it is known that the baby collects some of this microbiome from the mother's delivery channel. And in this instance, the baby is already equipped with those microbes that will support him or her to go through life, having these familiar microbes helping him or her to fight off or even produce some of the vitamins that the baby require for growth and development. It helps to produce vitamins, it helps to produce hormones, it helps to fight off diseases, it does a lot of functions. But in the case of where a baby is born through a cesarean process, the baby does not get the opportunity to collect these microbes from the mother. So what happens is that the baby is left with the ones he or she is going to just acquire from the environment, or the ones that are intricately within their system. So this is about probiotics. So all of these things, whether you acquired it externally, or you acquired it from your mother, or you acquired it somehow in life through feeding or through supplementation, these are probiotics. They are just microbes that are in your body that supports the body process and produce a lot of chemicals that the body require for proper functioning. On the other hand, there is prebiotics. Prebiotics are not microorganisms. They are actually compounds usually made up of complex fiber. They are usually made up of fiber or just digestible food components, non-digestible food components, that when you consume your food, the basic digestion does not break it down. It goes into your body. So when it goes in, the probiotics that are inside your body, or just the microbes that are inside your body, will use these prebiotics as a feed. They will use it as their food to eat and grow, and we say proliferate. Proliferate is a rapid increase in number. When microorganisms are forming, we say because they are very tiny, you cannot see them when they are one. So when they are like billions, you see them. You can only see them when they are in billions. And when they are in billions, we refer to them as CFU, which is coliform forming units. So when microbes are already in that, when a human being consume that non-digestible fiber, the microbes in their system will consume them and grow to form what we call the CFU. They will form the billions of coliform forming units, which is the right numbers that they are supposed to reach to be able to perform any function in the body. So why do we say whether it is nurturing or harming? It can be nurturing or it can be harming. This is where the complication lies, because we have this impression that just because it allows microorganisms to grow, it is automatically a wonderful form of a wonderful food component. A lot of people go to pharmacy shops and they just ask for fiber. They have tablets that are fiber. These tablets are just fiber that were made into tablets that people can consume them and grow the microbes in their body. So in that instance, when you are consuming them and growing the microbes in your body, the question is, which microbes are you growing? Which microbes are you growing? Because in the body, we have the bad microbes and we have the good microbes. For the benefit of parents, caregivers, professionals that are taking care of people with gastrointestinal disorders, or even with children with neurodevelopmental delays, people with certain chronic diseases, it is very important to identify the kind of microbes that an individual has before you can identify whether you are going to prescribe prebiotics or whether you are going to prescribe probiotics. So the question about why prebiotics can be harming or whether it can be hurting is critically dependent on the type of microbes that an individual has at every point in time. So we know that certain illnesses can be caused by microbial overload. We have individuals who have yeast overgrowth. That one is even small compared to what it can cause in certain group of individuals. When a lady has yeast overgrowth, they tend to have itchy private parts. Some people have even skin growth, skin problems. Some people go as far as having even in their hair. Some people go as far as having like sicky kind of feeling, all because of microbial overload. Also, in certain group of people, especially children with neurodevelopmental delays, this growth of bad microbes can actually cause a lot, like the kind of harm it can cause. You, if you're just a lay person, there is no way it will occur to you that only microbial overload can cause this kind of problem. Some of these problems, not all of them, is that the child will be laughing uncontrollably. The child can just laugh without any reason, without anything. You would just be like, why is this child laughing? And the child will just go on, laugh, 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 laugh. And then it's confusing. A lot of parents find it irritating, frustrating. Another thing that can occur is that that child may not be sleeping well at night. A lot of parents can attest to this, that the children, their children who are neurologically impairment, they will not sleep until around midnight, and by 3 a.m. they are awake. There is something peculiar about 3 a.m. when it comes to their sleep. 3 a.m. is the time that those microbes are fertilizing. They usually reproduce at 3 a.m. So if your child wakes up at 3 a.m., then you can now look at possibility of microbial overload. Some of these children are also very hyperactive. Why? It is not as if the microbes itself are what the major cause of the hyperactive, but the activities. So if you notice a child that is very hyperactive as a result of microbial overload, you will realize that when the child is hungry, they are very calm and quiet, very, neurotypical and well behaved. As soon as that child eats something like eba or yam or semo or wheat, any complex carbohydrate, in about 10 to 15 minutes, you won't be able to control the child. I remember when I used to go to houses to do assessments for children. I came into the home. The child was sitting quietly. We talked, we interacted. It was a nice one. I was actually happy that the child was actually responding. Before 30 minutes, did I say? Before like 5 minutes, the house help brought in a fat plate of eba with a plate of soup. The child ate. After about 10 minutes, the child never sat down on a chair until I left for the next almost 2 hours. The child never sat down, like the bum never touched a chair again until I left her house. Why? Because she had consumed a complex carbohydrate which has gone in to feed the bad microbes in her system. How does this work? How it works is that when complex carbohydrate is consumed, just a little bit of it is digested. Remember in the beginning I said it is non-digestible carbohydrate. So just a little bit of it is digested, and then it goes down to the small intestine where those microbes are actually resident. So when it gets there, the microbes will feed on it. And let me tell you, this is the same process that happens in breweries. When you go to Ama, for instance, I did my IT at Ama. The only thing that is brewing is that you put a yeast into a tank full of carbohydrate. So by the time you put the yeast in the tank full of carbohydrate, it begins to produce alcohol, methane, a lot of gases. And it is this alcohol that this is as if Giving a child with microbial overload a complex carbohydrate is like filling a cup of alcohol and giving the child, because you are simply aggravating a chemical process that is going to produce alcohol in that child's system. So a child with microbial overload, giving them any complex carbohydrate is like producing alcohol in their system so that they just go haywire. So by the time anybody who has microbial overload is consuming a complex carbohydrate, remember, prebiotics equals complex carbohydrates. So all these stories is building up to something. So by the time a child who is having microbial overload is being fed with complex carbohydrates, you are invariably producing alcohol in the body of that child. So in your own words, can you now identify the areas where we can comfortably say that prebiotic can be harming? We have identified the areas that, okay, if there is a microbial overload, the introduction of prebiotics can be very, very harming. Now, among parents of children with neurodevelopmental delay, there is a very popular protocol, very popular biomedical intervention that a lot of mothers do. So this protocol involves the use of inulin. Inulin is a very complex carbohydrate. Inulin is a very complex carbohydrate. So this protocol involves the use of inulin to give the child, and then a lot of mothers just jump in and they want to give. Yes, a lot of children actually do well on this inulin, but a lot of other children tend not to do well. Why? Because if that particular child has complex has microbial overload, they are not going to do well. They are actually going to get more and more hyperactive. So on this note, we should say that when a child is having microbial overload, it's not just child, adults can have microbial overload. Prebiotics, prebiotics, remember our topic is prebiotics, not probiotics. Maybe on another day, we will still talk about probiotics. Prebiotics can actually be very harmful to anybody with microbial overload. In administering of prebiotics, you are more or less providing food for the microbes to grow. And when you are providing food for the microbes to grow, you are not selecting who and who is going to eat the food. You are not able to say, now you can eat the food, this one you cannot eat the food. That's not possible. So by offering a complex carbohydrate to a child who has yeast overgrowth, you are more or less harming the child. So that is why in our practice, if you maybe do not know me, I am ACE autism nutritionist. So my practice is nurturing children with neurodevelopmental delays, especially autism, using nutrition. So in our practice, when we have children who, by the time of assessment, we would try to find out, some of the markers of yeast overgrowth. So by the time we find out some of these markers and the child is probably suspected to have yeast overgrowth, we kind of provide a meal plan that tends to reduce the amount of complex carbohydrates. We call that meal plan specific carbohydrate diet. In specific carbohydrate diet, we usually would reduce to a very minimal level the amount of complex carbohydrates that a child is taking in his or her meal plan. It's usually not the only thing we do. So in our meal planning, we usually combine a lot of different plans. A child could be on Gluten free, casein free, specific carbohydrate diets at the same time. Why? Because we practice personalized nutrition. Personalized nutrition is a kind of nutrition where you assess a personal in an individual's nutritional needs to recommend nutrition, to recommend a diet. So you don't just go, oh, because you're tall and short, so everybody that is tall, I used to give them this kind of diet. Oh, because you are short, everybody that is short, I give them this kind of diet. No. In our dietary approach, we tend to individualize things. We individualize the approach because we are guided by medical tests. So when a child performs a medical test, we use the result of that test to identify their nutritional needs. Thank you so much, Sharon. Okay, hypoglycemia. Okay, I love your question. Do you know why I love it? Is because it still goes back to this individualized kind of intervention. There is something in children with neurodevelopmental delay that we call mitochondrial dysfunction. Some of these children have this condition, mitochondrial dysfunction. So if a child has something like mitochondrial dysfunction or even prone to hypoglycemia, for instance, we can't give such a child the same meal plan we are giving another child that is not having such condition. Why? Because children with such conditions are needing constant energy supply. If a child has mitochondrial dysfunction, it means that the cells are not converting the food they are eating properly to produce energy. So such a child is supposed to be supplied with energy at very at intervals, so that even if such child is going to bed, the mother has to put a snack by the table side. Yes, it is that bad. They cannot sleep from night till morning without having to eat something. Otherwise, you are hurting their cell. When a child has such a condition, we have ways that we tackle it. I'm not telling you this so that you go and do it. You help you There are supplements that support the cell to produce energy, something like CoQ10. Some of these supplements, they help acetyl L-carnitine, CoQ10. These are some of the supplements that help the cell to efficiently convert energy from food into usable energy. So when a child has something like mitochondrial dysfunction or is prone to having hypoglycemia, it is different, Sharon. It is different. And that is why nutrition has to be individualized, because no two people are the same. I hope I answered your question. So if a child is prone to having hypoglycemia, we don't put such a child on a specific carbohydrate diet or ketogenic diet. No, you don't do that. So thank you so much for that question. Is very important. And that still goes back to what I was explaining earlier, that nutrition is an individualized practice. You can only see one person at a time, and you can only care for one person at a time. That was the mistake that nutritionists were making in earlier days, that maybe a nutritionist can just have a meal plan and just be dishing it out to everyone and be like, okay, eat this one, eat that. No, 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 no. In nutrition, we are taught to calculate nutrients based on people's physical activities and nutritional requirements. But in nutrition for children with neurodevelopmental delay, oh my word, it is like 7 times the work you have to do. You have to consider that the child may have food allergies. You have to consider that the child, if you have your organic acid test, you may have to consider that the child has inborn errors of metabolism. If the child has some, let's say he has heavy metal toxicity, all of these things have to come into consideration when you are planning a child's meal plan. If the child has something like this mitochondrial dysfunction, you have to put it into consideration. So when it comes to nutritional intervention for children with neurodevelopmental delay, it is a serious business. It is a very serious one. And it doesn't just come with only nutrition. It is a holistic approach to their well-being. You have to think about every other thing around nutrition that helps their well-being. Okay, think about assuming, sorry about that, I'm a mother. There's no one to take care of them. Assuming a child, for instance, is living in an environment that has pollution. One of the propositions of excuse me, just a minute. Sorry about that. So if a child is, for instance, where was I? So if a child is, for instance, living in an environment with high pollution, one of the propositions of autism is that they are not able to detoxify efficiently. So if a child is living in a very polluted environment or is exposed to heavy metal toxicity, maybe by the pot they are cooking with, by the plates they are serving the food, by the exposure to maybe fumes from generator, by the fact that they go to fill their fuel together and they get exposed to lead, it could be a hindrance to that nutritional intervention. Because as long as there is presence of contamination, toxicity, toxicants in the environment, the nutrition may not do a good job. So in this case, our nutritional intervention usually go just beyond giving the child food. So what we do is that we go around all the things that might hinder the optimal benefit from that food. I am listening. Mitochondria, yes. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Sharon. Thank you. So, what we do is that you have to look around every aspect of that child's life that might hinder or support the nutritional intervention. Now, I think I'm going very far into the nutritional intervention, but the message of today is that prebiotics can actually be nurturing or harming. Prebiotics can nurture if your microbial load is in balance. If you don't have overgrowth of the wrong kind of microbes, it can nurture. In this case, you put it in and the good microbes use it as a food to proliferate and fill up the space, and you become healthier. You can produce a balanced microbe by taking prebiotics, assuming you had a good balance before consumption. But in the case of where you have overload of the bad kind of microbes, you can actually be harming yourself or your child if you are using prebiotics. So I have encountered a lot of parents that are making this mistake of, just because they heard that fiber is good, fiber is prebiotics, fiber is wonderful, and they are trying to take care of a child with neurodevelopmental delay, and they go about feeding the child with a lot of fiber. I felt it was high time we kind of laid this to rest and kind of create the awareness and let people know that even when things are wonderful, they may not be the best for everyone. That something is good for Mr. A may not mean that it is good for Mr. B. We are all made one and each. of us. Everyone is unique. Just like our faces are unique, our physiologies are unique. That's why even when you see researches, they say 80% of this, 70% of this. Usually when it's more than 50%, you say there's a significant difference. Huh? It doesn't mean that everybody will fall into that. And then it is also a very unique set of people, these children with neurodevelopmental delay. That's why you say when you see one child on autism, you have only seen one child on autism. I will appreciate your questions if you have one too. Thank you so much, Sharon, for your understanding. That wasn't very comfortable, but yeah, it is what it is. You are a mother first before you become a professional. Thanks for your understanding. If you have any questions, I will be very glad to answer. This live stream is recorded. You can always go through it on our YouTube channel. Thank you for your comments, Sharon. I have read them, and yeah, they are quite encouraging. So we are going to be hosting another live stream on in 2 weeks' time. We will always host every 2 weeks so that we at least give one another that space to think about and even implement what we have learned in the previous one. Maybe when I'm done with my studies, we will be able to do it more often. Thanks so much, everyone. I hope we were able to trash out the issue of prebiotics and probiotics, whether it can be nurturing or harming. If you have any more questions, please feel free to drop your comments on our YouTube channel. We are also, yes, please, definitely. You can visit our website. I am just going to put it on here. Um, brainfoodsforgods.com/programs. If you go there, you will see all we have. And then, no. I think there was a space there. I will just write it again. Why is it giving me space? Brainfoodsforgods.com/programs. So if you visit there, it's the same thing. If you visit there, you will see all we have to offer. But you can still call me. You can call me on this number. I don't know if it's safe to put out my number there, but come on, I'm a servant. You can call me on this number, or on WhatsApp. You can call me on you can send me messages on this. If you cannot call on that one, you can send messages on this. Those are my two numbers. You can reach me anytime. Even after looking at our programs, please don't just say, okay, this is it. No, you can still speak to me. And that's how I dropped my number too. This is one mother to another mother. Thank you so much, Sharon. I am looking forward to hearing from you. And thank you, everyone who joined our program today. Feel free to send me your questions, put up your comments, put up your questions. In fact, it gives me joy to answer questions. That's why I'm here. If not, why not? Thank you. Let me go attend to those ones. They are crying. I feel uncomfortable already. Thank you. See you in 2 weeks' time. Brain Foods is here to help. We are supporting children and adolescents, individuals living with neurodevelopmental delays. We give meal plans. We can deliver lectures. We offer trainings. We offer medical tests. We have a laboratory in the United States of America we work with, that even if you are in Nigeria, we can send you kits and then you get the samples and we send it back. We interpret your results and we use it to draw your meal plans for you. So don't be skeptical or doubt the proficiency. We've been doing it for the past 8 years and we are waxing stronger. Thank you so much. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you. Have a very beautiful evening. Thank you, those of you on Instagram. I really appreciate your time. I appreciate that you drop by and we share together in this lecture. See you again in 2 weeks and take care. Bye. Thank you. Oma, thank you. Oma Nadi, thank you.